Hey everybody, this is Nick coming in. Just want to recap what's going on in the first 2 weeks of fantasy football. Looking at the divisions, each division is pretty much the same in terms of having one team at 2-0, one team at 0-2, and the other two teams at 1-1. Leading divisions are Sarah, Jeff, and Joe G. Proctor, Dustin, and our reigning champ Aaron do not have a win yet, and everyone else is 1-1. So far things may have not gone as planned. But sometimes the best thing to do is just wait, because studs will more than likely become the studs that they're supposed to be, and the players with the fluke performances, they'll eventually start to die down. So with that said, let's look at some of the crazy things that happened during the first 2 weeks of football, and keep in mind all these stats are based on our league scoring. So if we're looking at QBs, in our league, the number one QB after 2 weeks is a quarterback that was drafted in the 14th round. That would be Matt Ryan. In comparison, a quarterback that was drafted in the 3rd round, Russell Wilson, is the 27th ranked best QB, and according to that ranking, he would not even be rosterable. Of course, that's going to change, but just kind of give you some perspective. Looking at the running backs, D. Will, he never dies. After 2 weeks, he's the number one ranked fantasy running back. And side note is, last year, he was also the number one ranked fantasy running back at the beginning of the season while Bell was out. Tevin Coleman, who was drafted in the 9th round, he's the number 13 fantasy back, and he actually has more points than Freeman, who was drafted in the 2nd round. And looking at what most people thought the number one back in fantasy would be, it was either usually him or Johnson, but Todd Gurley, who's the 4th overall pick in our league, and he's the 37th best running back after 2 weeks. Looking at wide receivers, we have our 9th rounder, Stephon Diggs, currently the number 2 wide receiver in fantasy football in our league. And we have the 3rd overall pick, Odell Beckham, is currently the number 39th ranked wide receiver. A side note, New Orleans actually has 2 of the top 4 receivers in total points so far this year. Number 3 would be Brandon Cooks, and number 4 would be Willie Snead. Tight ends, a little bit crazy this year. Jack Doyle, who's undrafted. You might not even know who he is. He's the 2nd tight end on the Colts. He's ranked the 5th tight end in our fantasy football league. And a little side note, which is even more impressive, so far Jack Doyle, somebody you probably haven't heard of prior, has more touchdowns than the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks combined this year. Pretty crazy. On the flip side, Coby Fleener, who signed a big contract to be with the Saints, and Saints tight ends have been really good in past years. He's the 41st ranked tight end so far. Looking at the defense, we have the Jets, who've been known to have a great defense for the past, 10, 15 years. They're the 23rd ranked defense overall. And looking at kicker, we have historically that he was a top 5, top 8 maybe, kicker for the past 3 years, Steven Hauska from Seattle. He is in a 3-way tie currently right now for the 27th ranked best kicker. If you take this information and you combine it with all the injuries that happened this year, specifically week 2 with running backs, so far it's been a pretty strange fantasy year. But I think as time goes on, things will kind of even out, and the guys that are supposed to do good are going to do good. But we're going to have to wait and see if that to happen. It may not, so you might have to make some adjustments. But I just want to say good luck to everyone in week 3, and enjoy your weekend. Thanks. Bye.